What is up, Packer fans? Back again. Here we are. The Packers lost again by 2 points to the Minnesota Vikings, 27-25. The score was a little bit closer than the game actually was. The Packers really struggled to move the ball on offense. The passing game just looked in disarray from the jump. Josh Jacobs fumbling on the first drive of the game. Not the way you want to start on the road in a big game in the division against a team that we likely are going to have to beat in the playoffs to move on to the next round. So for the Packers, Jordan Love started out slow. Obviously, Josh Jacobs had the fumble. We did decent job, with pass protection in the first half. Towards the second half, they started getting after Jordan Love. I think he was sacked 3 times. There's been like 2 other games this season where he was sacked about 3 times. A lot of games where he was sacked none or only once. So definitely against the Vikings, a team that we have trouble blocking up against. And as the pressures are coming, it's hard to know what's going on in the back end. And so Love was just, a little bit confused. Offense wasn't clicking like it was against the Saints and in other games they played. They had scored 30 points or more in the last 5 games the Packers have. So going into this week, against the Vikings, you knew you had to play perfect. You knew you couldn't have the mistakes. Having, obviously, the fumble on the first drive was not good. And Jordan Love, no mistakes on his end, but just wasn't super consistent throwing the football. Obviously, the receivers, we didn't have Christian Watson. Romeo Doubs played pretty well. He had like 12 targets, 7 catches, 58 yards, but just couldn't get a lot of extra space. Jaden Reed dropped an important one when we needed it on 4th down when we went for it. I know we went for a field goal on 4th and 3 at one point, and then we went for it on 4th and 3 at a different point. I would have just taken the field goal on the road in the division. My rule is on the road, you take the points no matter what. In a big game, on the road, in the division, you take the points for sure. Obviously, we lost by 2. If we would have went for a field goal, it would have been 3. The game would have been a little bit different at the end. The Vikings would have been pushed to score, and they probably would have been able to get in the field goal range. We know that Reichert did miss some field goals for the Vikings. That 57-yarder was short, and then the other one, I think it was like 43 yards, hit the post. So he was a little off. So maybe, you push them into a tough field goal at the end, you can win this game. But the Packers really just did not play well enough to win. On the defensive side of the ball, Edgerrin Cooper, Edge, this guy's amazing. He's going to be great for years to come. Other guys, Brenton Cox played more snaps than Lucas Van Ness, something to look at, something to question, something to wonder about. But on the back end, Nixon, Stokes, Valentine did get his pick. I wish he would have not fumbled on the return and he would have scored, but either way, still a good pick. Xavier McKinney was just off a little bit. Everybody was just a little behind, a little bit late on the deep ball to Jalen Naylor. X came up, they covered Justin Jefferson, and Naylor got behind them. So plays like that you just can't have. You can't let anybody get behind you. I've been knowing that since like 6th grade football. You can't let anybody get behind you. So for the Packers, a lot to clean up. Obviously, they made it a game at the end. I like the resilience of this team. I like the fight in this team. It is still a very young team. We're still the youngest team in the league. We only have 2 guys that are over 30 years old, and so and that one of them's a kicker. And so, so for the Packers, it really comes down to can they keep pace with these top tier teams. The Eagles, they got beat week 1. That was kind of a wash down in Brazil. The Eagles look really good now. The Lions really hurt, but they beat us twice. Also, a team that looks good right now. And the Vikings obviously beat us twice. A team that looks good right now. So our 5 losses come from the 3 top teams in the NFC. Kind of a weird way to kind of weight the schedule this year, but that's how it's gone. Packers 11-5. Hopefully we'll get to 12-5 next week and be done for the season. After that, on to the playoffs. But first, Packers got to beat the Bears next week. We'll do a full Bears preview Week 18 video, and then on to the playoffs. So the Packers, hopefully we can get healthy. I don't know what's going on with Jair Alexander. Just question marks all around him. I think Christian Watson will be back. I think if it was a playoff game, he could have played. And then other guys like Quay Walker, hopefully we get him back. Not like we didn't really give up a lot of rushing yards. Aaron Jones did what he did. He had some good gainers, but he didn't break the game open, and the other running backs couldn't get going. So we held him in check in the running game, but Sam Darnold had his biggest pass performance in his career. I was saying that, Sam Darnold just, to me, is not an elite quarterback. He is playing exceptional this year. He was a top-tier quarterback going into the halfway point MVP conversations, kind of. But to me, it's only been 1 season. It is on a new team. He does have some weapons, but can he keep this going? And can he do this when it counts in the playoffs? That's going to be the real catalyst to all this. Yeah, you have a good season, but Packers had a 15-1 season. Vikings had 15-1 seasons before, and they both did not win the Super Bowl. So for the Packers, it's going to be, can they play their best football when it matters the most? And can those teams, the Vikings or the Lions, we're probably not going to have to play both of them. We'll probably have to play one of them. But can they beat us 3 times in a season? It's really hard to do that. And so for the Packers, for me, for all the fans, I think we're all hanging our hat on getting them when it matters the most in the playoffs. I think Jay Love can play way better. I think this offensive line can play better. I think Josh Jacobs can obviously play better. I didn't see him a lot in the second half. I don't know if he got hurt. His under-over was like 70 yards, and he got to 69, and they took him out. So something to wonder there. But anyway, enough of that. But the Packers, can they run the ball? Can Josh Jacobs, not fumble? He hasn't been over 100 yards in a few games, but using him, consistently and effectively before that. And so these receivers are really going to have to start coming into their own. Wicks and Reed are really going to have to start stepping up when it matters. Doubs is doing what he can. He did have a drop, but he's doing what he can. Tucker Kraft playing well. I know Luke Musgraves got his first catch in a while, so since like week 3. And so Packers have some stuff to build on, but a lot to work on still, a lot to fix, a lot to change up. Obviously, play the Bears next week at home at Lambeau. Let's get a big win at Lambeau and then go into the playoffs with some momentum, clean up some of the mistakes, and I think we can get these guys when it matters the most. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Go Pack, go.